Alright. Yo, what up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Make sure you guys subscribe. I am live streaming this on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Twitch. Make sure you guys go to the About section or the Bio section. Look for the links for the other channels. Subscribe and follow there as well. Anyways, we're gonna continue learning Python. Learn to code in Python on Boot.Dev. We finished sets on last stream. We're now gonna do the final one before the practice and the quiz. Uh, Chapter 12, errors. And actually, let's see where we are on the leaderboard. You're in position 3 of 25 league members. I was at 2, I think. For the daily learners, at least. Top league learners, you're in position 10. I think I was at 9 before. So we'll catch up. Top daily learners, 6,101. Yeah, I'm behind on the other ones. Okay, errors. Now just making sure that you guys can hear me. Alright, everything's good. Alright, errors and exceptions in Python. You're probably encountering some errors in your code from time to time if you've gotten this far in the course. In Python, there are two main kinds of distinguishable errors: syntax errors and exceptions. Syntax errors, you probably know what these are by now, but syntax errors is just Python interpreter telling you that your code isn't adhering to proper Python syntax. This is not valid code, so it will error. If I try to run that sentence as if it were valid code, I'll get a syntax error. This is not valid code, so it will error. Syntax error, invalid syntax is... Alright, exceptions. Even if your code has the right syntax, however, it may still cause an error when an attempt is made to execute it. Errors detected during execution are called exceptions. Sorry. It feels like I got fucking husky fucking hairs in my tongue, but no, I'm tripping. Errors detected during execution are called exceptions and can be handled gracefully by your code. You can even raise your own exceptions when bad things happen to your code. Python uses a try exempt pattern for handling errors. Try 10 divided by 10, except exception print can divide by 0. Alright. The try block is executed until an exception is raised or it completes, whichever happens first. In this case, an exception is raised because division by 0 is impossible. That exempt block is only executed if an exception is raised in the try block. If we want to access data from the exception, we use the following syntax. Try colon 10 divided by 0 except exemption as E, print E. So now it's going to print division by 0. Alright, wrapping potential errors in try except blocks allows the program to handle the exception gracefully without crashing. Assignment. One of the calls get player record. Okay. One of them will raise the player ID not found exception. Wrap all 5 calls in a single try exempt block so that an exception is raised, it will print the exception and skip the rest. Alright, so exception try. Don't edit below this line right here. So try colon hmm. Mm. Alright. One of the calls is get player record. Will raise a player ID. Not found exception. At both players calls in a single try except block. So that the exception is raised, it will print the exception and skip the rest. Using the try except pattern for handling errors. Try. Alright, should I try this first? Run it? Try to run it first? Try player ID. Okay, help, because I don't know what to do. Alright, the output shows exactly what the lesson is asking you to fix. When get player record 4, line 6, main file string to the 2 get player record exception player ID not found. Alright, so when get player record 4 is called, it raises an exception and crashes the program. The assignment asks you to wrap all 5 print calls in a single try except block, so that instead of crashing the exception, messages get printed gracefully. A few guidelines. Where should the try keyword go relative to your 5 print calls? So right here. Try. And then let's see. Tab. Except. Do I have to accept exemption? Hmm. 2. What should the accept block do when it catches the exception, and how do you access the exceptions message to print it? Take a look at the example in the lesson explanation for a hint on the syntax. Shit, what'd I do? Print, hmm. Hmm. I was misspelling it. So try all of these except the exception as E, print E. So yeah, just basically like that. Alright. Try except review. Try to okay. The try block is executed until the exception is raised or it completes whichever happens first. In this case, a divide by zero error is raised because division by zero is impossible. The except block is only executed if an exception is raised in the try block. It then exposes the exception as data E in your case, so that the program can handle the exception gracefully without crashing. If no exceptions are raised in the try block, the program crashes. No, the except block won't execute. The except block executes with non-exception. A no exception error is raised. Let's fucking reread it again. The try block execute exception is raised and it completes whichever happens first. Divide to zero error is raised because division of zero is impossible. The except block only executed an exception is raised to try block and then exposes the okay. It says so that the program can handle the exception gracefully without crashing. What the fuck? If no exceptions are raised in the block, the program crashes, so it's not correct. Except block won't execute. The except block executes with none. A no exception error is raised. No? Okay, the except block won't execute. Fucking confusing. Try except review. Okay, same shit. It says if an exception is raised outside of a try block, the program crashes and prints exception. The exception is automatically caught and handled. This one. Alright, raising your own exceptions. How many lessons are on here? 11 lessons on errors. Raising your own exceptions. Errors are not something to be scared of. Every program that runs in production is expected to manage errors on a constant basis. Our job as developers is to handle the errors gracefully in a way that aligns with our users' expectations. Errors are not bugs. Okay. Let me unmute the desktop so you guys can hear, and let me full screen this and play.
When you're just using a program, it's really easy to think of bugs and errors as the exact same thing. But as a programmer, it's important to understand that bugs and errors are not the same. Bugs are a problem with the program's behavior. It means we as the developers need to fix them. We did something wrong. The actual behavior of the program isn't the expected behavior of the program. Errors are things that happen as a program runs, but they're not necessarily unexpected. They're not ideal, but we do expect them to happen. In fact, as a developer, we can't stop errors from happening. All we can do is handle them gracefully. So, we just write code to handle the errors. Say we write a program that needs an internet connection to function. That's pretty common these days. If the user's computer disconnects from the internet, it will produce an error. Their cat might chew through the Ethernet cord and their computer disconnects. There's no code that we can write that prevents that from happening. But when that error does happen, when the internet connection is dropped, we can write code that handles it gracefully. For example, if it's an online game, maybe we pause the game and show an error message to the user, letting them know they're disconnected. So, you fix bugs. Bugs are your problem as a developer. You handle errors. Some examples of bugs would be in a game you get hit by a sword but you don't take any damage. Or a user signs up for your system and they never get the registration email. An example of an error might be that a user's internet connection drops. Or maybe the user types in a date in the wrong format. Again, we can't stop them from typing in the date in the wrong format. All we can really do is tell them that they made a mistake. So again, by definition, errors are things that are out of our control, and all we can do is write code that handles them gracefully, informs the user that there's a problem. By definition, bugs are in our control, and we just need to fix them. They're problems in our own logic.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good to me. Alright, looks like there's no more video, so let's mute and then play my music. Alright. Alright, when something in our code happens that isn't the happy path, we should raise our own exceptions. For example, if someone passes some bad inputs to a function we write, we should not be afraid to raise an exception to let them know they did something wrong. An error or exception is raised when something bad happens, but as long as our code handles it as users expect it to, it's not a bug. A bug is when code behaves in ways our users don't expect it to. For example, if a player tries to forge a sword out of a metal bar, we might stop that from happening by using raise to prevent a bug. If the game doesn't have certain items, such as a gold sword, then players shouldn't be able to craft a sword from gold bars, even though gold bars do exist. Alright, def craft sword, metal bar. If metal bar equals bronze, return bronze sword. If metal bar equals iron, return iron sword. If metal bar equals steel, return steel sword. Raise exception invalid metal bar. So we prevent a bug by raising an exception. This exception prevents other developers who use the craft sword function from creating items that don't exist in our game. So raise stops the program from executing and forces the exception to be handled. Don't catch your own exceptions. As a rule of thumb, you do not want to catch exceptions you raise within the same function block, for example. So don't do this. Def craft sword metal bar. Try if metal bar equals bronze, return bronze sword. Okay. If metal bar equals iron, return iron sword. If metal bar equals steel, return steel sword. So they just keep on using metal bar. Raised exception invalid metal bar. Except exception SE print F string and error carried E. So invalid metal bar. Instead, the caller should handle any potential error by wrapping the function call within a try exempt block or except block. Do this. Try craft sword gold bar except exception as E print E gold bar. Alright, assignment. Fix the get player record function if the given player ID doesn't exist. It currently just passes instead. It should raise but not handle an error to alert the caller that the player doesn't exist. The exception should say player ID not found. Alright. The test will call getPlayerRecord function and will handle the exception you raise. Alright, so try and then what am I doing? Except with a C right there. So try this, except, and then print E. Okay. Fix the getPlayerRecord function if the given player ID expected an indentation after the if statement on line 4. Here. Something on line 5. Name Slayer level 1, 2, 3. It should say player ID not found. So let's see. It says don't do this, so do this. Try. Do I have to fucking go over the loop? Do I have to iterate? I think is the word. Iterate over if. It says, greetings, I can see your code in the output for the terminal. To answer your question first, no, you don't need to iterate using multiple if statements is a perfectly fine way to check specific values like you have done here. However, your code has run into a bit of snag. The try block, I have 2 points for you to consider. Syntax error. In Python, if you start with the try block, the language expects you to follow with an except or finally block. But you look at the, okay, so let me move this over here and then delete this shit. Let's see, try, and then let's do try player ID. Player ID, fucking. And I have to say player ID not found. Raise the exception as E, and then print uh, print E. No? Oh wait, it has to be accept. X Except exception as E. And I misspelled that. Run that. That's all. No? 3 passed, 3 failed. Okay, oh shit. Where did I go wrong? It says, aha, you've made some progress, but we have 2 hurdles to clear to get to the function working, to get this function working as the guild requires. First, let's look at your try except block. In this lesson, the instructions specify that you should not handle or catch the error function with this function. The caller, the test suite, wants you to handle it. When you use try except, you are swallowing you are swallowing the error yourself instead of letting it fly. Second, let's look at this line. The player ID not found. In Python, putting parentheses after a variable name tells the computer to try and call it like a function. Since player ID is an integer like 4 or 5, Python gets confused and says int object is not callable. To fix this, consider example from the lesson above. So raise exception. How would your code change if you replace the entire try except block with a single raise statement using the required message? So we don't need this whole fucking thing. We don't need that. We don't need that. Let's see. Okay, so raise exception Tion. Huh? What the fuck? Okay. So I was just supposed to do this right now. Okay. Which raising exceptions review. Software applications aren't perfect, and user input and network connectivity are far from predictable. Despite intensive debugging and unit testing, applications will still have failure cases. Loss of network connectivity, missing database rows, out of memory issues, and unexpected user inputs can all prevent an application from performing normally. It is your job to catch and handle any and all exceptions gracefully, so that your app keeps working. When you are able to detect that something is amiss, you should be raising the errors yourself, in addition to the default exceptions that the Python interpreter will raise. So raise the exception something bad happened. The keyword triggers an exception in Python. Exception. No? Raise? Okay. Alright. Same shit on the left. Good code doesn't need to handle errors. It should be error free. False. Alright. Lesson 7 out of 11. 7-11. Okay. Different types of exceptions. We haven't covered classes and objects yet, which is what an exception really is at its core. We'll go more into that in the course on object-oriented programming. Okay. For now, what is important to understand is that there are different types of exceptions and we can handle them differently depending on the situation. Some exceptions are more specific: zero division error, which happens when you divide by zero, or index error, which happens when you try to access a list element at an invalid index, either too high or too low. Others are more general, like the base exception. Alright, syntax. Try 10 divided by 10, accept 0 division error, print 0 division, accept exception as E, print E. Try nums equals 0, 1, print nums 2, accept index error, print index error. Okay. Which will print 0 division and index error. So these are the things that are going to get printed. Why specific exceptions come first? When handling exceptions, it's important to catch the most specific ones first, because Python stops checking once it finds a matching exception handler. If you catch a more general exception first, any any specific errors will never get handled individually. For example, try nums equals 0, 1, print nums 2, exception, print an error occurred, except index error, print index error. In this case, general exception will catch the error before the index error. Okay, can be reached, and the message index error will never be printed. Always handle the most specific exception first. So the index error. Try num 0, 1, print nums 2, exception, an error occurred. So this one will be done first. Alias exception messages. As seen in the example, you can also access the error using as like this, except exception as E, print E. The default behavior of print is that it will print a string representation of whatever object is passed to it. In this case, it will print the error message. Alright, assignment. Take a look at get player record. Okay, don't add it below that. Function. It raises an exception for negative player IDs. Alright, complete the function so that it has to call get player record player ID and returns its result if no error occurs. Returns its result if no error occurs. If index error is raised, return the string index is too high. If any other exception happens, return the error itself. Shit. Alright, down here though it says Player record, player ID. If player ID is less than 0, it raises the exception. Negative IDs not allowed. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, no, I don't know what to do. Alright, you're very close, apprentice. A few things to check. Python is case sensitive, so print should be lowercase. Okay, try needs a matching except block, so try. Okay. Except, exception, capital E. Okay, wait. Try and needs a matching except block. Okay, what should process player record do with the result of get player record player ID when no error happens? Which exception should return index is too high? For any other exception, should you return a message, string, or accept object itself? A good way to think about it is call the helper inside try. Catch the specific index error first. Catch the more general exception after that. If you want, I can help you build it one piece at a time without giving it away. Uh, Alright, this one. Alright, good. Let's do this one piece at a time. First piece, inside try. You probably want to call the helper function, not the print input. Not print the input. Ask yourself, what function actually looks up the player record? What function? So, what actually looks it up? Fuck. Uh, Ask yourself, what function actually looks up the player record? What should the try block return if that call succeeds? Second piece, your accept line has a casing issue. Okay. Second piece, exception line has a casing issue in Python. Exception names are case sensitive. What the correct capitalization for the base exception type. Third piece, the order matters. Handle index error first, then a broader exception. Try fixing just to try call first, then we'll do the first exempt together. So do I just put player ID? Is that how you call it? Player ID by itself just refers to the variable. It does not call anything. A function call needs the function name plus parentheses like some function. Alright, so I have to literally put all of this. Alright. So for this lesson, ask yourself which function takes player ID as input. Should you return that function call from inside try? Once you have that, the next step is adding the specific except index error. Close but not quite. You want the helper that looks up the record, not the wrapper function itself. If process player record calls itself, what happens? Try this mental model. Process player record player ID is the outer wrapper. Get player get player record player ID is the lookup. So get player record player ID, this one down here. Try get player record player ID. So the try block should call the lookup function and the result should be returned. Next step, replace the self call with the lookup call, then add one except for index error, one except for exception as E. Ah, it says it right here on step one. Call get player record. Now I'm thinking process player record. Alright, call the get player record player ID and it return its result if no error occurs. Accept exception as E. Says it returns the result if no error occurs. Okay, if an index error is raised, return the string. Okay, except e index error as e. Shit. Uh, print e. Um, there has to be except right two accepts. Let's just fucking do that and see how I'm doing so far. If any other exception happens, return the error object itself. If an index error is raised, return the string index is too high. Raise the exception. Um Alright, get player. If player ID not in uh let's just put not in but whatever this, enter, so it's formatted correctly. um Raise exception, and then Says if an index error is raised, return the string index. Index is too high. If any other exception ever happens, returns the error object itself. So if player ID not in fucking where's the what's the fucking thing? I don't think I need to do a try, huh? Let's ask Boots. Do I even need a try block? Yes, you need the try block for this lesson. Think of it like this. Try is for attempt the lookup. Except is for what to do after that lookup fails. Few hints. You do not need to check player ID not in K. Here K isn't part of the test. You do not need to raise index yourself. The index error comes from the list lookup. You should return successful lookup result from the try block. In the general exception handler, the instructions want the error object itself, not print E. So try the lookup. 2. Accept index error. So I do not need a full an if statement. Correct. No if statement is needed. Uh, Alright, successful look. The exception handle replaces it. Successful lookup, return the player record. Okay. Out of range index error. Negative ID, general exception. So the whole job is just to try the lookup, catch index error. Okay. Okay. Index error. If an index error is raised, uh, if another, if any other exception, okay, except fucking. So I wasn't even close. That shit's lying to me. You were close, but try this instead. If index error is raised, returns the string. Uh, shit. Print fucking index. Index is too high. If any other exception happens, returns the error. I need this right here. Control V. Accept exception as E. And then tab. Oh yeah, delete this shit. Run. Submit. No? Alright, you're almost there. 2 key fixes. In the try block, you need to return the result of get player. 2. In both except blocks, you should also return, not print. See, you need to. They need to show me how they use the return function within this shit, not just. I mean, I know it's not supposed to like literally tell you how to do the assignment and shit, but there's no example here or in the previous one how to return. If an error index is raised, return the string. So f string. Or just return this. Return E. No. Shit. F string. Can I remove the F? Fail. Alright, expected name Slayer level 128. fail, pass, pass. Alright. Alright, now what? Oh, I gotta return. Fucking. Alright, it says yes, just one remaining issue in the try block. You still aren't returning the lookup results. This line, get player record, player ID, return, means call the function then immediately return none. Instead of return needs to be on the same line as the lookup result being sent back. So ask yourself, what expression should be returned from try? What does a bare return with nothing produce? None. Or why? Because there's nothing there. Fix that one piece, then you should. I just don't know what to fucking put. Cause I put player ID. Uh, do I just put the whole fucking thing again? Or do I move that shit? Really? That's what I had to do? Fucking copy it again and then return get player record player ID? Son of a bitch, man. You need to explain that shit. Cause it doesn't explain how some of this shit works. You just have to figure it out by using the AI. So like the fucking teaching instructions is it's missing important parts for the assignment. If I didn't have fucking boots, like I would probably never have been able to figure that out. Unless I use like ChatGPT, Google, Gemini, some shit. Alright, let's see. Lesson 8 out of 11. I got 4 more to go. Raising exceptions review. As you notice, there are many types of exceptions. Many specific exceptions are built into language like index error and zero division error, and almost all exceptions count as the parent exception type. What differentiates the exceptions are their types, not their string descriptions. This is important to know when handling errors from important modules. If you're interested in the official documentation on all the built-in exceptions, you can find a list here on python.org or docs.python.org. Built-in exceptions. Alright, refer to the following code for the question. Try, raise the exception, zero division, accept zero division error as E, print 0. Alright, in the code example, what will happen? The program will crash with an uncaught exception. It will print 0. No? Try, raise the exception, zero division. Why would the program crash with an uncaught exception? Their data, their types. Okay, so exception, zero division error. So because of this has to be exception. So I can't use this when using a string. Is that why? Resin exception review. Resin. As you notice, there are many types in the. If you okay, the same shit. Refers to the following code for the question. Says this code is simply raising an exception with the text zero division. Except zero division as E prints zero except other. Okay. In the code example, what would happen? The program will crash, uncaught exception. No? It will print other. What? Refer to the following code for this question. Try 10 divided by 0 except exception as E print other. Program will crash and... No? It will print other. Okay. Purchase bug is the last one. There is a bug in the merchant system that allows players to buy items from the shop even when they don't have enough gold. The assignment is complete the purchase item function. If the character doesn't have enough gold, raise an exception with the text not enough gold. Otherwise, return the amount of remaining money the customer has after completing the purchase. Do not handle the exception. The test file does it for you. Okay, so try. The character doesn't have enough gold. Raise an exception with the not enough gold. Try fucking purchase item. Wait, actually just try this. Alright. Accept or finally. Alright. If the character doesn't have enough gold, raise an exception. Otherwise, return the amount remaining money of the customer has after completing the purchase. If the character doesn't have enough gold, raise an exception. Do I need an if statement? So greeting, yes, an if statement is exactly what you need here. Currently, your code is doing something called recursion. The function purchase item is calling itself over and over again. This eventually leads to a crash. Instead of calling the function again, use logic to check the gold. The check, use an if statement to compare gold available and price. The error, if the character doesn't have enough, use the raise keyword to trigger an exception with the specific message 9 of gold. Raise an exception with the text. What? I didn't see that fucking. Alright, the check. Use an if statement to compare the gold available. Alright, so try this, and then if fucking. Alright. Compare the gold available to price. If the gold available less than price is less than, nope, less than PR price. Let's see. Says raised fucking exemption with the specific message. Let's see, string. Not enough GH gold. Okay. Alright, the error. If the character doesn't have enough, use the success. If they do have, if else. Okay. If they do have enough, calculate the difference and return it. Let's see. Price minus the damn fucking gold available. Um, if they do not, if they do have enough, calculate the difference and return it. So return return the price minus the gold available. Also be careful to try except block. The instructions mention that you should not handle the exception yourself. You should let the exception bubble up so the test can catch it. How would you write a condition to check if the gold available is less than the price? So I don't need the try. I don't need this shit. No? Help! First, you're very close, but there are two main things we need to fix to get the merchant system working. First, take a look at the very first line inside your function. Purchase item price gold available. By calling the function's name itself, you create an infinite loop. Alright, I gotta get rid of this, right? The computer keeps trying to start the function over before it ever reaches your if statement. You should remove that line entirely so the code can proceed to your logic. Second, look closely at your return statement. So yeah, I forgot to get rid of this. Alright. Okay, if I have 20 gold and buy something for 10 gold, the math here would be 10 minus 20, which results in negative 10. Should the remaining gold be negative number, or should we subtract the price from the gold? Summary of steps. Remove the line where the function calls itself, okay? Flip the subtraction of your return so it calculates the remaining gold correctly. Alright. Alright. Ah! Son of a bitch. Alright, so let's go back to the assignment. Complete the purchase item function. So it's simply an if else. But you know how like throughout the other lessons we were doing the try, except the raising and shit. We only used it once right here. I thought we're gonna use something like similar to what was shown on the other fucking lessons. They need to put something here like, alright, now remember everything you learned so far. Do not just fucking focus on this chapter's info. Like, remember everything you've... Now, before this assignment, remember everything you learned so far. That's all you have to say, and then I'll think differently. Because I was thinking, alright, we're just going to do something that's, that has to do with what we learned in the chapter. Alright, so... Because the rest, I get the if else fucking do all that stuff. And then if it like says, okay, you gotta, it says right here, you gotta raise an exception with the text not gold enough, or not enough gold. That is like the only part that's different. So, assignment complete the purchase item function. You could also put, instead of, like, if you want to be a little bit less vague, then remember everything you've learned so far, uh, so you don't focus on just what's on the chapter. like what's been taught in the chapter, you could also put in like in one of the steps, create a loop. Uh, not don't tell me which fucking loop to use. Create a loop for the following steps. I don't know, some shit. If the character doesn't have enough gold, raise an exception with the text not enough, otherwise return the amount of remaining money to the customer has after completing. I don't know. Actually, no. You could be super vague and just put like, remember everything you've learned so far, and apply it with this chapter's lesson. You could be super vague, and then I would have gotten like, oh, okay, right here, fucking if tells me, all right, there's gonna be an if statement. Otherwise, tells me else. I would have fucking figured everything out, and then I would have been like, all right, let's go back on the spell book and fucking see how to raise an exception, and then I would have just done that. But no, my brain didn't work. Anyways, that was chapter 12 errors. Let's go to the dashboard. Now I just gotta practice everything and then take a quiz, and then I'll be done with learn the code in Python, and then we can move on to that. Now, I have been putting like my plans in ChatGPT. Let's see. Game dev and Boot.Dev. Let's wait for it to bring all the info. Alright, so this is what I do. I do use ChatGPT just kind of to like organize my thoughts, ask questions, and like obviously it can search for stuff. Alright, so I have told it first remember all the prompts on my roadmaps and current future goals. I want to learn game development through Godot on my Linux PC. On the side, while I'm continuing to earn my computer engineering bullshit degree, BS degree, bachelor's, remember that I am also learning through Boot.Dev as I purchased a subscription for a year. And then I ask it, should I focus on completing Boot.Dev completely, or at least the first part of learning Python before I start using Godot? It says, well, it's telling me do not delay on starting it. A strict fit, and then it tells me what to do. Core recommendation: Boot.Dev Godot application is secondary but active. It's basically saying if I want to learn Godot, I should start right now, and let's just skip some of this stuff. Where can I begin on creating my own game? Should I watch? Should I watch do a or do a tutorial by Brackies? That's one of the people that I have on subscribed to on YouTube, just so I could go back to his Godot fucking tutorial. I haven't watched any of it yet, but whatever. Other YouTuber use Godot documentation. Both. How do I start? So recommended starting point: learn just enough, then build immediately. Do not rely on a single course. Use a stacked approach: tutorials, documents, and your own projects. Install Godot. I already have it installed and shit like that. It's telling me follow a beginner tutorial. Not many. So it's basically telling me just stick with one person and their many fucking Godot tutorials and shit. Let's see. Immediately rebuild without the tutorial. So try to do it by yourself. Use documentation. Learn systems. Watch small tutorial. Try it yourself. Break it. Break the code. Like break it, fix it using docs, and expand it, and just keep going. Repeat over. What to avoid: watching 10 different YouTubers. Copy paste coding without understanding. Starting a dream game immediately. I already know that one. Trying to learn everything before building, which is what I'm trying not to uh, do. I want to get started on it. Probably after this course. How this fits in your situation? I'm doing Boot.Dev, studying computer engineering, and wanting practical skills. This is immediate application, reinforcement, Python, GD script, portfolio objects, early. So I'm gonna need to learn how GD script is. That's why it's telling me do not wait. Minimal starting point checklist. Install Godot. Watch Brecky's video. Whatever. Recreate movement yourself. Jump speed boost, etc. Bottom line, tutorials to start, docs to understand, projects to actually learn, yada yada. So I just finished the chapter 10 dictionary. This was, I believe, yesterday, or 2 nights ago, or 2 mornings ago. Anyways, where you're now, finishing dictionaries in Python.Boot.Dev means you already understand variables, control flow, functions, lists, dictionaries, basic problem solving patterns. That's enough to start real work in Godot, according to ChatGPT. So it's saying start Godot now, same week. It says use a structured intro. What is this for? Yeah. Just use a structured tutorial. Step 3, translate what you know. Build your first mini project. How to structure your learning now. Stuff like that. Um, so I'm putting that into fucking ChatGPT just so like kind of like a mentor or kind of like, yo, where am I at? What should I do? Um, let's see. Amongst fucking watching YouTubers and game dev fucking YouTubers and stuff and like, yeah, whatever. Anyways, after I finish practice and quiz, I'm probably gonna get on Godot, start streaming me just like fucking going over documentation and Godot about Godot docs, introduction, just reading over it, I guess. Uh, let's see. Before you start, about Godot engine organization documentation, about this documentation, features, platforms editor, rendering 2D, stuff like that. Just go through all the documentation, system requirements, frequently asked questions, complying with licenses, Godot release policy, documentation changelog, getting started. Intro, step by step, your first 2D, 3D game, manual, best practices, 2D, 3D animation assets pipeline, audio export, etc. And just go through everything. Engine architecture, extension APIs, development, all that stuff. Asset library, community channels, like free assets and shit. I think you could get classes, global nodes, resources, other objects, editor, only and variant types, just to familiar myself out with that stuff. At the same time as watching like a YouTube tutorial on how to create a fucking game. So let me see actually Bracky's some of his videos and shit that I'm gonna do or watch is how to make a video game Godot beginner tutorial, and then how to program in Godot GD script tutorial, and then how to make 3D games, uh, and more stuff that has to do with Godot lighting in Godot for beginners. That will probably be later on. How to make VFX in Godot, stuff like that. Apparently, this dude's a good fucking YouTube game dev uh, teacher for a lot of people. So, uh, amongst many, I guess. I don't know. Leaderboard. Let's see where we're at. You're in position 3 of 25 league members. So, Kuzminski is still ahead. You're position 9 of 25. So I went up on this one. I went down on this one by 1. And of course. Anyways, backend developer path. Next, learn Linux. After I finish this, build a book bot. Don't know what a book bot is. Learn Git. Yeah, I'm probably gonna need to learn Git so I could like before I make fucking or start making games and shit, it's to help me fucking like if I make something work and then I make a mistake, it helps me go back to it. So I'm guessing I should just keep going through Boot.Dev, although ChatGPT says don't wait. So I don't have that much time because I'm also a full-time student. Ah, so yeah. Let's see. And time is ticking for my yearly subscription, and I wanna go through fucking what, 23 courses and then deeper learning courses. That's a lot to fucking and I'm like time is wasting. Um, learn object-oriented programming, so that's more on that's gonna help me out with Python. Build asteroids. We're actually gonna build a game in Python, so that's also gonna help. Learning functional programming definitely gonna help too, because it's more on top of Python. Build an AI agent. Uh, learn data structures and algorithms, Python. Learn memory management, personal project. See, we're gonna do a personal project here. So maybe I should keep going on boot.dev until I get to here, personal project, and then do another project too. Whatever they're gonna make me do on here, also start on a Godot project once I get here. Learn Go. Don't know what Go is. HTTP clients. Build a Pokédex. SQL build block aggregator. HTTP servers. Learn file servers. Learn Docker. Learn pub sub architecture. Don't know what that is. Capstone project. See another project. Learn how to find a programming job. That's gonna be helpful. Um, maybe I'll just keep doing boot.dev. On my own time, just watch the YouTube videos and stuff. Yep. Anyways, thanks for watching, you guys. You guys don't really even have to be watching me. If you go to their fucking YouTube, or go to YouTube, type in boot.dev, their fucking playlist has all the full courses right here if you guys want to view it. Not in order. So you could, whatever, Python for beginners, functional programming is also stuff on Python. Let's see, anything that has Python on it, you could just watch it. They have 16 videos, but they have more than 16 fucking courses. So I don't know if they're gonna add more of them, but for Python for sure, complete beginners, 7 hours going through this shit. So if you guys want to watch it before doing it, or do a boot.dev and then watch it afterwards, that's what they recommend. Anyways, yeah, that is it. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Remember, YouTube, YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and Kick. Subscribe and follow. I am out.